August 1945, Tupelo, Mississippi. 10-year-old Elvis sits on his porch when a voice drifts through a neighbor's window. Raw, broken, beautiful. He can't catch the name through the static. That voice haunts him for 5 years. He searches everywhere, asks everyone, chases every lead. When he finally finds the singer in 1950, Willie Carter is dying of tuberculosis. And what Willie tells 15-year-old Elvis in those final hours becomes the foundation of everything that makes him legendary. The Voice Through Static. August 1945, a sweltering evening in Tupelo, Mississippi. 10-year-old Elvis Presley sits on the front porch of his family's shotgun house, supposed to be shelling peas for his mama. The Presleys don't own a radio. Radios cost money they don't have. But their neighbor, Mr. Jackson, has his turned up loud. The sound drifts through his open window across the dirt yard. Elvis's hands stop moving. Every bit of his attention locks on the voice coming from that radio. A man singing something bluesy and mournful, about leaving home and never finding your way back. But it's not just what he's singing, it's how. The voice has a texture Elvis has never heard. Rough but beautiful, broken but powerful. Like someone who's lived 1,000 lives, felt 1,000 hurts, and poured it all into 3 minutes. When the song ends, the radio announcer comes on. But Elvis can't make out what he says. The signal is weak, crackling with static. All he catches is something that might be a name, gone before he can grasp it. Elvis jumps off the porch and runs to Mr. Jackson's window. "Mr. Jackson! Mr. Jackson! That song! Who was singing?" Mr. Jackson, elderly and half-deaf, looks up from his newspaper. "What's that, boy?" "The man singing. Who was it?" "Don't know, son. Wasn't paying attention. Just background noise." "Did you hear the name?" "Nope, wasn't listening." Elvis walks back to his porch, but he can't shake that voice. He's heard plenty of music, gospel at church, country on radios, his mama singing while working. But this is different. It has something he can't name but desperately needs to understand. That night, Elvis lies in bed humming what he remembers, trying to recreate that texture. It haunts him. 5 years of empty searches. Then Elvis hears something that will change his life forever. The next day, Elvis asks everyone if they heard the song. Nobody did. He describes the voice, what little he remembers of lyrics. Nobody can identify the singer. "There are lots of blues singers, Elvis," his mama says gently. "Most never get famous. They sing in juke joints, on radio sometimes. Nobody remembers their names." But Elvis can't let go. That voice awakens something, a hunger to understand how music carries emotion, how a voice makes you feel things you don't have words for. Elvis starts hanging around Mr. Jackson's house whenever the radio plays, listening, hoping. He never hears that voice again. By 1950, Elvis is 15. His family has moved to Memphis. He starts hanging around Beale Street, where real blues musicians play in smoky clubs where white teenagers aren't welcome. Elvis goes anyway, standing outside, listening through walls, soaking up every note. He asks musicians, "You know a singer, blues singer, voice like gravel and honey, sang about leaving home?" Most shake their heads. But one night, an old harmonica player stops, looks at Elvis with recognition. "Son, you talking about Willie Carter?" Elvis's heart jumps. "Who?" "Willie Carter, used to play around Tupelo in the 40s. Voice could make a stone cry. Sang that song, No Home to Return To. Only recorded it once for some local radio station. Nobody else ever did it." "Where is he now?" Elvis asks desperately. The old man's face falls. "Last I heard, Willie got sick. Real sick. Went back to his mama's place outside Memphis. Maybe 6 months ago. Don't know if he's still alive." Elvis feels panic grip him. 5 years. 5 years searching. And now that he has a name, Willie Carter might be dead. "Please, where's his mama live?" The player thinks. "Somewhere near Collierville. Place called Pleasant Grove. Willie's mama, Ruth Carter." But son, Willie was in bad shape. Might not be there anymore. The 20-mile walk. 5 years of searching finally leads to a name, but the news crushes him. Elvis doesn't care if Willie Carter is dying. He has to meet him, has to hear that voice, has to understand what haunted him for 5 years. Next Saturday, Elvis tells his mama he's visiting a friend. Instead, he starts walking toward Collierville, 20 miles from Memphis. Too far for one day. But Elvis has no bus money and can't wait. He walks 8 hours, asking directions, until he finds Pleasant Grove, barely a crossroads with scattered houses. He asks the first person about Ruth Carter. "Oh, Willie's mama," an old woman says. "That house with blue shutters. But Willie's real sick, son. Been dying slow near a year. Don't know if he can see visitors." Elvis's heart pounds as he approaches the weathered house with blue shutters. He knocks. A tired woman in her 60s answers. "Ma'am, are you Ruth Carter?" "Yes, who are you?" "My name's Elvis Presley. I've been looking for your son Willie for 5 years. I heard him sing on the radio when I was 10, and I've been trying to find him ever since." Ruth Carter's eyes fill with tears. "You came all this way because you heard Willie sing?" "Yes, ma'am. Is he still alive?" "Barely. Tuberculosis. Doctors say not much time. He's real weak." "Could I see him?" "Just a few minutes. I came from Memphis." Ruth looks at this earnest 15-year-old who walked 20 miles for her dying son. She opens the door. Meeting Willie Carter. Elvis finds Willie Carter's house and realizes he might be too late. Willie Carter lies in the small bedroom thick with the smell of sickness. Skeletal thin, breathing labored. But when Ruth brings Elvis in, Willie's eyes focus with surprising clarity. "Willie, this boy walked from Memphis to see you," Ruth says softly. "Says he heard you sing 5 years ago." Willie studies Elvis. "What's your name, son?" "Elvis Presley, sir. August 1945. You sang on the radio about leaving home, never finding your way back. I was 10, on my porch in Tupelo. Heard your voice through my neighbor's window." Elvis's voice cracks. "Mr. Carter, your voice changed my life. I've been trying to find you for 5 years, to tell you that, to understand how you made music feel so real." Willie looks at him with wonder. "You walked from Memphis to tell me that?" "Yes, sir, I had to." Willie gestures weakly to a chair. "Sit, son. Tell me about yourself." For an hour, Elvis talks about music, how that one song awakens something, how he started singing, playing guitar, mixing blues and country and gospel in ways that confused people. Willie listens, nodding, breathing labored but attention focused. When Elvis finishes, Willie is quiet. The lesson that changes everything. What Willie whispers to Elvis becomes his greatest secret. "Elvis," Willie finally says, voice barely a whisper, "you know why that song moved you?" "No, sir. That's what I've been trying to understand." "Because it was true," Willie says. "Every word came from my actual life. Sang about leaving home because I did, about never finding peace because I never did. You felt that truth at 10 years old because truth in music, you feel it in your bones." Willie coughs. Ruth brings water. When he recovers, he continues. "Most singers sing songs someone else wrote about experiences they never had. They're actors, not artists. But singers who matter, who change lives, they sing their truth. Put their real pain, real joy, real soul into every note." Willie reaches a thin hand to Elvis's arm. "Want to know the secret? Don't ever sing a lie. Don't perform a song unless you find truth in it that connects to your truth. Understand?" "Yes, sir," Elvis whispers. "One more thing. Don't let anyone tell you mixing styles is wrong. Blues, country, gospel, just different languages for the human heart. Speak whatever language your heart needs. Hear me?" "I hear you, sir." Willie smiles. "You got a good soul, Elvis Presley. I hear it when you talk. You're going to do something special. I feel it. Elvis spends 2 more hours with Willie. Willie tells stories about Delta juke joints, learning blues from men whose names nobody remembered, recording No Home to Return To for $5 at a radio station that closed a year later. That's why. Nobody knows my name, Willie says. Recordings lost, stations gone, never made another because I got sick. My whole legacy, one song barely anyone heard. I heard it, Elvis says fiercely, and it mattered, changed my whole life. Tears run down Willie's face. You walked 20 miles to tell a dying man his life mattered. You have no idea what that means. When Elvis stands to leave, Willie calls him back. Elvis, promise me something. Anything, sir. When you make it, and you will, remember where your music came from. Remember all the Willie Carters who never got famous but sang true anyway. Honor that tradition, understand? I promise, Mr. Carter, I promise. The legacy. Elvis walks back to Memphis that night. 20 miles in darkness, heart full, mind racing with everything Willie taught him. 2 weeks later, Elvis hears Willie Carter died. He hung on 2 weeks after Elvis's visit, telling anyone who'd listen about the boy who searched for him 5 years. That boy's going to be famous, Willie told his mama before dying. When he is, tell people Willie Carter taught him to sing true. Elvis never forgot. Years later, reporters asked about influences. Elvis always mentioned Willie Carter, a man most never heard of, who recorded one song barely anyone heard, who died unknown and poor. Willie Carter taught me the most important lesson, Elvis would say. Truth matters more than technique. Singing from your soul matters more than singing pretty. One song with absolute honesty changes lives more than 1,000 sung for money. In 1956, when Elvis recorded with that raw emotional quality reminding people of old blues singers, that was Willie Carter's influence. When Elvis mixed gospel, blues, country in ways that shocked people, he was following Willie's advice to speak whatever language his heart needed. Every time Elvis sang with gut-wrenching honesty that made him different, he was honoring Willie's lesson, never sing a lie. Ruth Carter lived until 1963, long enough to see Elvis become the biggest star in the world. She kept a scrapbook of every article mentioning Willie's name. Proof her son's music mattered. His life had purpose. He left a legacy though nobody knew his name. Willie Carter died unknown, unrecorded, forgotten by history. But his voice lived through Elvis Presley, influencing every song, every performance, every choice that made Elvis the king. Have you ever spent years searching for something that inspired you? A song, a voice, a moment you couldn't forget? Share in the comments. Sometimes obsession leads to destiny. The voice that inspired Elvis belonged to a man nobody remembered. By the time Elvis found him, Willie Carter was dying. But in those final hours, Willie gave Elvis the secret that would define his entire career. Never sing a lie. Truth over technique. Soul over polish. Honesty over perfection. That's what made Elvis different. Not his looks, not his dance moves, his absolute commitment to singing truth. Even when it confused people, even when it broke rules, even when it mixed genres that shouldn't go together. Willie Carter never got famous, never got rich, died with one lost recording and a life of obscurity. But his lesson lived through Elvis, and through Elvis, it changed music forever. Sometimes the most important teachers are the ones history forgets. Sometimes a voice heard through static on a neighbor's radio changes everything. And sometimes walking 20 miles to thank someone who doesn't know they changed your life is the most important journey you'll ever take. Subscribe to Elvis Presley Legacy Stories for untold moments proving that the greatest influences are often the ones history forgets. Share this with anyone chasing their truth. And if someone once changed your life, maybe it's time to tell them. Elvis walked 20 miles to thank a dying man. Willie Carter died 2 weeks later, knowing his life mattered. That's legacy, not fame. Impact. The voice that haunted Elvis for 5 years belonged to a man nobody remembered. But that man's truth became the foundation of the most important musical career of the 20th century. Sometimes one song, heard once, changes everything. And sometimes keeping that promise, "I'll remember where my music came from," is how legends honor truth.